Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm doing the monthly basement battle versus Ecobaronen. This is a recurring series where we each select 3 decks that are not part of the front page of MTGGoldfish, but you could play in Legacy if you wanted to. My 3 decks for this week start with this Moonshadow Hogaak list that's been making the rounds a little bit. It's got some pretty steady posted trophies. It's got some challenge top 8s over the last few weeks. And this is kind of perfect for this series because I recently ran 2 decks on the channel trying to do this, somewhat unsuccessfully. One of them was a smallpox hybrid build of this deck, and then one of them was just full smallpox with some of these same cards. But completely independent of that series, somebody else was out there working on the full aggro version. And the list I played had Moonshadow, Elvish Reclaimer, Thoughtseize, all that stuff. It wasn't quite going into Stitcher Supplier for Hogaak, so that's exciting. And this is just a get 'em dead aggro deck. Moonshadow starts small but gets big. Elvish Reclaimer starts small and gets big. White of the Reliquary starts small and gets big. Hogaak starts big. You just got to do some stuff to cast it. And Sylvan Safekeeper protects all that stuff while growing some of it. Moonshadow and Elvish Reclaimer both get bigger when you use Sylvan Safekeeper. We got Thoughtseize and Wasteland to punch holes, keep the opponent just a little off balance while we get it done. My second deck for the week is a Pokemoki invention. He's got some posted trophies with this over the last few weeks. This is basically how do we adjust blue-white Felia for the flow state world. It's got an appropriate mix of sorceries and instants to turn on your 4 flow states. It's less focused on scamming out Quantum Riddler. There's no consigned memories or stifles in this list. The way old ones used to have, there's only 2 Felia instead of 4. It's a little bit slower, but hopefully more stable. Got some Pokemoki specials here. Spell Snare, a card that he thinks is well positioned. Supreme Verdict, a card he likes. Trying an Erode in here. 1 Dress Down. Just some Pokemoki signature stuff here on the fringes of this blue-white Felia deck, featuring a card that's obviously very good. And the final one sent to me from voting in my Patreon Discord. This is a recent 5.0 list that was found posted from MTGO. It is Golgari Nickfit, hyper-focused on making big stuff happen. And the end game here, it appears, is run your opponent completely out of lands. As this doesn't have a huge Craterhoof Behemoth or Progenitus or Scapeshift with Valakut or any like the giant game-ending things that Nickfit tends to have. What this has is Icetill Explorer and 2 copies of Ghost Quarter, as well as Veteran Explorer, flushes out basics from your opponent's deck. Assassin's Trophy is a 2-mana instant speed Vindicate if your opponent doesn't have any basics in their list. And Ghost Quarter is Strip Mine if your opponent doesn't have any basics left in their list. That's a lot of pressure on a format where decks usually have from 0 to 2 basics. And it's kind of sweet. Pernicious Deeds sweep up the stuff that they do have, while Icetill Explorer, which is conveniently a 4-drop, one of the most expensive things you'll see in the Legacy format, cranks away with Ghost Quarter. Really interesting take on Nickfit, which is a deck that low-key got a lot of action from Secrets of Strixhaven. Witherbloom Command is great for this archetype, as well as there's some other stuff that this list is not doing. Secrets of Strixhaven gave us some very powerful lessons that we can learn, like the mechanic lessons, not life lessons. And the card Eye Twitch is another thing like Veteran Explorer that you could sacrifice for value and grab lessons out of your sideboard. Like that's some stuff that's been going on in the Nickfit space. I played a crazy Yori on 5 different toolboxes build that was actually kind of sweet. It's a cool time to be Nickfit, and this one is clean, down, and dirty. Those are my decks. Let's battle. I won the die roll for round 1, which means I'll be on the play with my 2 Golgari decks and on the draw with my blue-white deck. I'm cool with that. I'll keep this. I do wonder if Andreas is also going to bring this deck. This one is... It's well known enough that it would be exciting for this sort of series. In the unknown matchup, I'm going to lead on Thoughtseize. Oh my goodness, we've got some kind of mess over here. Okay, Swords to Plowshares is a pain in the tuchus, but Stoneforge Mystic, I think, is the card that's actually going to kill me here. Pass the turn. Looks like we got some Maverick over there. A Ganjo Castle, kicking it old school. Sylvan Safekeeper and Moonshadow. Interesting. Sylvan Safekeeper gives me options to actually cast a creature this turn, but with this double Bowmaster thing going on here, I got that. And that's much more resilient to Swords to Plowshares. Yeah, I was hoping for an X1. Bad news bears. Pachow. That's dead. The Ganjo can't save it. Currently tapped. Okay, so can I play Hogaak this turn and ride it to victory? I could make Sylvan Safekeeper for 1 mana. I could play Moonshadow for this black mana, and then sack for 3 bugs. And then that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's plenty. I think this is my window to push the limits. There we go. I'm just doing it all. Gack. And this is what this deck does. You look for the window and you try to punch it closed. Yeah, that was awesome. Okay, we're against Maverick. This is a toolboxy creature deck in the blue-white space. Get a few extra answers to Stoneforge Mystic in here. That seems like the scariest card they've got. Oh, this might be one of my bleeds as a player, and I call it out every time, yet I do nothing to improve it. Which is, every time Once Upon a Time is in a main deck, that's the first time I cut out of the sideboard. And like, I think of Once Upon a Time the same way I think of something like Ponder, except it's much worse than Ponder, where it smooths out your game 1 plan when you don't know what you do. But I'm perfectly willing to shave 1 or 2 Ponders post-sideboard when I just have a higher density of good cards I'm happy to draw. Like, it will be harder to stitch together a specific sequence here. Do I think they're using their graveyard? Oh, Knight of the Reliquary might be in this deck. Like, I could just turn Bojuka Bog into Talon Gates and have the same land count, where Talon Gates zooting out one of their creatures could flip the game. Oh, I already have a Talon Gates, though. Bojuka Bog does tap for black. And Knight of the Reliquary and Pre-War Formalware are both cards my opponent might be playing with. Alright, I'll leave my Bojuka Bog in. I've got 2 Besejus, 3 Fatal Push, 4 Thoughtseize, now 2 Snuff Out and 2 Sheoldred's Edict to fight Stoneforge Mystic. I don't think I need Disruptor Flute on top of all that. Alright, let's go. My hand is mediocre, but I don't think bad. I will keep it. No Mother of Runes. I do like a Fatal Push. Happy to see that one. Moonshadow did not get deleted. Not yet. Rishadenport. Dirty, dirty. Okay. I think I just want to Wasteland Rishadenport then. We saw Flicker Wisp, Fiend Hunter. Opponent might actually want 3 mana in a lot of places here. Umezawa's Jitte, recently unbanned in Modern. Welcome to the game. There's that Bojuka Bug. Okay, pre-combat, I'm going to get my White of the Rel in. Steady damage, steady damage. I got to keep an eye out for sweepers. Like Wrath of the Skies would not be great for me here. In this turn, it's okay, because it's a 1-for-1. Next turn, I'm going to have to dance around it a little bit. Mirror Crusader. Protection from black and green. Holy smokes. That's not good for me. I do have Manache on this Moonshadow, though. Alright, I'm going to Thoughtseize my opponent. A second Jitte, a Rest in Peace, and a Flicker Wisp. Well, the second Jitte doesn't matter, though I'm going to lose to the first one. Rest in Peace. I can't possibly win a race. I'm not winning a race anyway. Oh, I have Talon Gates. That's my out. Okay. Alright, I'm going to take Flicker Wisp, and I'm going to try to win this game all at once. I have to sacrifice a creature for this. Okay. Attack for 3. I don't know that I have enough damage to do all this, like in my deck at all. Going for the Rest in Peace is interesting. Oh, I guess you could still equip the Jitte. That doesn't change anything. Okay. I am going to sack Dryad Arbor now, because I'm pretty sure the way phasing works is you phase out all the things that are equipped and enchanted by it, or enchanted with it. So I don't want to wait until combat. And if I wait until my opponent commits the mana here, then I don't get the extra +1 on Moonshadow. Sad. Okay. The opponent can gain 8 life a turn. And I did not top deck my Sheoldred's Edict. I just milled a Moonshadow into the void. What lands do I have? This is the wrong deck. Also the wrong deck. Yeah, the second Talon Gates might actually win this game, but I don't have it in my deck right now. Noted, noted, and literally the Bojuka Bog is right here. Okay. Attack with my creatures. This is 6 damage. Bowmaster could ping you to 5, but then I think it's about over. Double strike. Double strike's fucked up. Okay, pass the turn. Mirran Crusader, absolutely dominating in 2026. You love to see it if you're my opponent, and you hate it if you're me. Okay, I'm gonna Bowmaster before damage. I can't block, but this wiggles around the Jitte the best. Like this timing. My opponent is gonna have 4 counters on Jitte. I'm looking for a Boseiju, but it being in play doesn't help. And my opponent has a second Jitte in hand. That's tough. Eumidian Hatchery doesn't die anymore with Rest in Peace around. Okay, Aether Vial. I think it's better for me to just have all these creatures in play than to tutor any lands. And I'm actually just dead here. Our opponent has to do something because I'm attacking for lethal. He has to kill some of these creatures or gain some life. Because if they make this a 10-10 double strike with the 4 counters, I'm just dead to that. Okay, shrinking my white. Shrinking my white again. All right, I'm just going to let it die. Okay, so right now this could hit me for 6 and then get another 2 counters. Okay, doing the bare minimum, go to 1 here. Is that your plan? Because the double strike is extra messed up because it could hit me for 4, get 2 counters, then hit me for another 8. I'm also at 1 right now. I'll Bojuka Bog you. This would have been the game-winning card if I had sideboarded that other way. I did not expect to play against Mirran Crusader or Umezawa's Jitte, certainly not together. And here I am with Fatal Push in my hand, opponent with multiple Jittes in the deck. I could be attacked to 1 right now, but opponent dies on the backswing if he does that. If he can buff this at all, any other way, it's lethal. I get 1 more draw step to find Sheoldred's Edict. Like, depending on how aggressive he gets, Boseiju might not even be enough, because killing this thing, or killing the Jitte but not the creature, it's still an unbeatable 4-4. Or 4 damage, 2-2, that it hits twice. Big draws, big draws. That's not it. GG's. Okay. Disruptor Flute, Talon Gates. Force of Vigor. In Disruptor Flute, we see Aether Vial, we see various equipment. I thought about this one the first time around. Definitely turning Bojuka Bog into the second Talon Gates. The problem with Disruptor Flute is if I become too reactive, then I'm not applying the pressure I need, and that's the game plan my opponent wants me to take. I could board out some number of Hogaak if Rest in Peace is a card we're playing against. That's also my guy that hits the hardest, though. Alright, I'll go +1 answer. How many Mirran Crusaders can possibly be in this deck? Don't answer that. You could answer that by watching Ecobaronen sides of the matches on his YouTube. Okay. I think I like my hand. I'm just thinking about the sequencing before I keep it. Alright, I will keep. And I think I'm going to lead on Thoughtseize again. Like, clipping something like Aether Vial could completely change the game. Oh, shit. Wasteland Double Correct is over there. That Wasteland is a problem. Gutshot can shut up. Alright, I'm going to take Mirran Crusader. I'm going to need some lands here. I've been wasted. Magic's easy. Bayou, Elvish Reclaimer. Play the card that doesn't die to Gutshot. Lanes, Plow. We're trading them off. Wasteland. Do I play out this Safekeeper? I really don't want it to get Gutshot, but also I want to spend my mana. Alright. I am not going to save this if it gets Gutshot. Opponent is teched out, though. Mirran Crusader, Gutshot. It's like this deck was pulled straight out of 2012. Alright, that's dead. You got me. Ugh, come on, man. Settle down. Yeah, that's definitely the land you ever want to draw ever in any game of Magic. But I will take it here. It doesn't cast the Snuff Out or the Fatal Push in my hand. Alright, just going in. The full denial strat. He is the control deck in this matchup. Stoneforge Mystic. It's a really good turn to draw a swamp of any variety. Even a tapped one is fine. Batter Skull in the hand. Swamp. Shit. All right, we're in trouble. And I'm not going to wasteland because I know his next land is legendary, and that might... I'm kind of giving him a card by wastelanding. Okay, right on time, but I'm not going to complain. It's not a swamp. It does cast Fatal Push, and Fatal Push does work on germ tokens, even though Snuff Out does not. Okay, there's the Bee Skull. I'm gonna push that germ. Okay. He's Lotus Petaled out the Caracas, which is the out to having two of them. Yeah, that second Wasteland, I think, is gonna kill me. Stitcher Supplier milled over a bunch of stuff that wasn't lands or graveyard interaction. It's really only Hogaak that cares about that. I probably should be wasting Caracas at this point. Though Bowmaster is a card I could draw that would kill Flicker Wisp and block a lot. Yeah, I actually do need some colorless mana. Do I block? I don't have a Hogaak, so blocking's fine, I guess. Milled over 3 more non-lands. Phyrexian Revoker, okay. Naming Sylvan Safekeeper. Talon Gates. Alright, well, I will play it and delete the germ token. I mean, it'll just come back, but I do need to cast spells. Way to the Rel. It's a 9/9. Game on. Please don't have Swords of Plowshares as your last card in hand. You freaking maniac. You absolute maniac. I thought seizing my opponent at the start of the game, seeing a plow in a wasteland, thinking that's not good for me, and then he just draws 3 more total copies of those cards. Okay, I can snuff out twice here. It will cost me 5 life to do that, and then I still die. So what can I do instead? I can waste my own Eumidian Hatchery to make 4 bugs, and then snuff out one thing. It's not great. And they can prevent the next 2 damage to a legendary creature. None of these are legendary. They could also fully bounce a legendary creature. All right, here comes everybody. I'll waste my bugs. Get them out here. And then block the X1, the X1, the 4/4 that's going to kill me. And I'll snuff out Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, can I draw Sheoldred's Edict? Are we back? I'm sure he just has, like, whatever the best card imaginable is. That's pretty good. Sheoldred's Edict. A Polluted Delta. I can't use that and snuff out in the same game. This is my last opportunity to remove Mother of Runes. And they could give Germ Pro Black and just put me to 1 next turn, which turns off the Polluted Delta anyway. Alright, I guess I'll snuff out Mother of Runes, chump block once, and hope the card I draw is exactly Sheoldred's Edict. And then I just have to kill an opponent with more resources than me at 34 life, with very few mana producing lands left in my deck. That's fine, he'll just draw Sun Lance. Alright, what a battle. Better lucky than good, Ecobaronen. On to the next round.
The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, MagicCon, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here.
I'm on the draw with the blue-white deck, as we knew I would be. I like my hand. I can answer a creature, I can answer a spell, and I can rebuild in one of 2 ways, depending on which thing I decide to pitch. To Force of Will, Arid Mesa. What the hell deck is Arid Mesa in? Oh, I drew a 1-drop. Let's game. Is Arid Mesa in my deck? That would be embarrassing. Oh no, is it the full mirror match? Arid Mesa is unfortunately the correct white-only fetch land to play in blue-white decks. Is that indicates the possibility of a red splash out of the sideboard, like a Blood Moon, Pyroblast, that sort of stuff, where Windswept Teeth, you're not playing a forest, and we all know it. Prismatic Vista was a huge upgrade when this card was printed for all the years we had to play Arid Mesa as a white fetch. But that really comes down to how many duels versus basics you're playing. Alright, we seem to have some full Jeskai experience with an actual plateau in the deck. I hope you need blue mana. Got his ass with my 1-of Wasteland. Flooded Strand has appeared. Or Scalding Tarn for Tundra has appeared. Standstill? You dare insult me like this in my own home? Alright, I'm gonna force of Negation. Narset probably just solos this deck, but I could actually use Quantum Riddler starting next turn. Alright, I'm gonna believe in Narset as a game piece. Didn't like that. Well, these Swords of Plowshares are going to be very poor in the matchup. And knowing that he's Standstill, I do wish I had saved that Wasteland now. An uncounterable spirit creature. The ghost with the most! Holy shit! I'm so dead. I don't think this game is winnable. Alright, Tamio. Uncounterable Geist of Saint Traft. In a Standstill deck. This deck is very cool, and I'm very jealous of it. And unfortunately, this is the one that lines up the best against this one. I thought my blue deck would be the safe one in between all this other mess I'm trying to do. Alright, well, Narset's not a real card anymore, with Geist of Saint Traft beating the shit out of it. I take 4 in this combat, and Tamio's busted. Just blocks Geist of Saint Traft. An interaction that comes up all the time in this format. Well, I'm dead. Alright, Meticulous Archive. The third Swords to Plowshares. Okay, so there's not a damn thing I can do about Standstill. You just win. I have a Supreme Verdict in my deck. None of those cards are what I want. Shuffle that. I don't actually want Tamio to flip here because she just dies. Yeah, I'll pass. Trying to find Supreme Verdict on extremely short notice. I can tempo Swords to Plowshares and save 4 of this damage every turn. Not a good deal, though. I wish Geist of Saint Traft had been cast into my deck full of big creatures last round. Or into my my Veteran Explorer. Go ahead, attack. Come get some. A Tundra, draw a card. Vendilion Click. Okay. I think I'm going to lose my Ponder. Opponent's deck is awesome. Supreme Verdict. Shit. Alright. Well, I'll plow the Vendilion Click. And attack. Do I want to go to 1 this turn? Not really, but it's going to have to happen. Oh my god, Hexproof is so stupid. Rainstorm. I'll take that. That's a bunch of looks at Supreme Verdict, and it flips Tamio. Wasteland, come on. Alright, that cuts my outs. I'm out of here. Wow, what a freaking beating. This is among the worst things that could ever happen to exactly this deck that I'm playing. This is horrific. And what do I even do? I can't beat Geist of Saint Traft. It's impossible. Alright, I've got 2 Wrath of the Skies and a Supreme Verdict. Force of Negation's out. You're some sort of... I mean, the creature Standstill business is annoying. Spell Snare gets Standstill cleanly. I do like that. Yeah, I guess I'll just bring in a Wrath of the Skies, and that's all I can really do. We did see some other creatures. Yeah, maybe Force of Negation should come back in to fight over the Standstill so I can actually play the game. Temporary Lockdown, mana value 2 or less. Not helping. Alright, here we go. I think what I need to do is get a big creature into play. So the bet I took on the Standstill, not knowing the list yet, by pitching Narset instead of Quantum Riddler, turned out to be the wrong one, because Quantum Riddler being a 4/6 actually does tango pretty well with Geist of Saint Traft and Vendilion Click, all that kind of stuff. Okay, I will keep. And I'm going to lead on Meticulous Archive. Prismatic Ending. And if he's got a Tamio, I want this. If he doesn't, I don't. Like, it comes down to literally Tamio here. Scalding Tarn. Hey, speaking of Tamio. Ponder. It is conceivable that my opponent's a Daze deck. I probably wouldn't put Daze and Standstill in the same deck, but with all of those aggressive 3-drops, it would make a little bit of sense. Alright, Spell Pierced my Ponder. You got me. Tamio. Okay, is this worth 2 cards? I think it is. Force Pitching Force. If I had my next land lined up for this Narset, I would do this differently, but I don't. Okay, that was worth forcing back. Untapped land. Magic's easy. Let's go. I'm going to grab Basic Island, just in case Blood Moon is something my opponent does. Brainstorm. All right. Flushing out the Brainstorm. because it doesn't work once Narset's in play. Let's hope Brainstorm doesn't then find an answer to Narset as well. But it has to be a Force or a Daze from here. Pyroblast, Spell Piercer off. We're in business. We've seen Lightning Bolt in my opponent's deck, but I still think it's right to get the card here, because now we've also seen Pyroblast. Yeah, that's fine. 2 for 1. Ponder. Flow State, which is online. Hey, don't shuffle. I can play around Daze here, so I will, though I don't think that's a card my opponent has. A Flow State is going to come to my hand, and do I want Gaia Reach Sanitarium or Force of Will? Sanitarium's good with Narset. One of my Narsets is gone. I think there's 2 in the deck. Yeah, there's 2 of those. I guess I'll take the Force of Will. The opponent's missing a whole color over there. Oh, well, look who's here. Interesting. Well, I'm not going to force this. I'll probably lose Flow State. Yep, Flow State flipped into a Ponder. Cast that. There's a few plows left in my deck. Supreme Verdict. Interesting. When and how do I want that? Okay, I think what I'm going to do is draw Wasteland, play Narset, not activate Narset, drop the Wasteland afterwards, and then Supreme Verdict on an empty board with Narset on 2 Loyalty. Firing up the factory. Gonna make me do it, but do it I shall. This also protects the future white source. Right, he did not slam a creature, unfortunately. Supreme Verdict. This is my answer to Geist of St. Traft, now spent. Well, I have a Wrath in my hand and a land on top of my deck. Never mind. I can answer the next one as well. And this land represents hardcast Force of Will. And from here, the game becomes hard to gauge, where is my opponent color screwed? Is his hand full of cantrips? Is he sculpting a perfect line where he resolves something through double counterspell that's going to kill me? Like, is the hand perfect or is the hand unplayable, is the question. And there's 2 routes to unplayable. There is a second Meticulous Archive in my deck that I would like to fetch, but I don't think I'm going to, because if I fetch Meticulous Archive, then Bolt or Pyroblast can take out Narset, and I would like to just cast Force of Will on that. Yeah, I'm chilling. Swords to Plowshares. Stinks that was where it was and had to spend Supreme Verdict on a plowable creature. Alright. Well, here's the fight. I'll get Plains again, respecting the possibility of Blood Moon. He knew that force was there, so whatever this is, it's part of a plan. Is the plan to resolve Geist of St. Traft? Okay. He also knows Wrath of the Skies is here, so there must be a backup plan. Yep, Force of Will, cooking my ass. Alright, do I want Narset to save me 2 life or to draw me a card? Yeah, I'll draw a card. Force of Will, straight to my hand, perfect. Narset could have died to save Narset. It's like a great Greek tragedy. Alright, if I draw a blue card here, I can just put a 4/6 on the battlefield. Interesting. Alright, don't have freaking Red Blast right now. How about that? Please and thank you. That resolves another Riddler. Okay, now I can back this up. The bigger body. This is how we beat Geist. Sanitarium showing up a little late. That would have been great with that Narset in play for all those turns doing nothing else. Okay, I found another blue card, which means I can get rowdy with this Riddler. Okay, had enough. Let's go. Nice bigger creatures. Do I bring in Hydroblast just to counteract Pyroblast? I don't think I want to do that. We've seen Spell Pierce as well. Spell Pierce and Pyroblast are flusterable things, but Geist of St. Traft, Vendilion Click, Standstill are all non-flusterable things. There are also Lightning Bolts in this deck, but the threats aren't red. The interaction is red. Bringing in secondary interaction for your secondary interactions seems so shitty. Flusterstorm might be good enough, though. Just a 1-mana way to do something. Dress Down isn't out to Geist. I forgot about that one. It does let me treat it normally. Okay, Flusterstorm's in, Erode is out. I'll keep this hand. This is one of those hands with good mana that turns on Flow State quickly. Ponder, Sorcery, achieved. Another Ponder in my hand, and a Caracas under it. I guess I'll bank the Caracas. Ponder's a fine blue card to pitch if I have to force a Standstill this turn. Fetching a red in my end step. Okay. Brainstorming in the end step. Setting up miracles? Bonfire of the Damned? Thunderous Wrath? What's happening? Okay, quickly fetching the second land. Alright, I will Force of Negation this pitching Ponder. You're forcing me back. Now I could force pitching Riddler. Or I could just Flow State into this thing. You get 3 random cards, I get the best 2 of 3 random cards. And that exchange is pretty comparable. Alright. I'd rather save my forest for Geist of St. Traft. And I am going to fetch, while there's still a basic I want to get. Flow State, draw your cards, Dress Down and Tundra to my hand. This is actually why I stopped playing Standstill. I registered Standstill in a bunch of actual competitive tournaments for a while. And the problem at the end of the day was that Expressive Iteration was just better than Standstill. Like, I was doing all this work to look at 3 cards when my opponent could just cast a sorcery that did almost the same thing. And that is the exact interaction we just witnessed. Having to pitch that Dress Down was not ideal, because that is an answer to the stuff my opponent does. But, I mean, there's no reason to hold Dress Down just in case. Like, I could have Dress Down and then used Caracas to bounce Geist, but then they just cast it again. And using the Dress Down to answer it forever would have been way better if I had this plow ready to go, but I don't. Okay, opponent's out of stuff. I'm going to cast Tameo before he sees the Caracas. Because if he wants to counter this, that's fine. But if it's like Lightning Bolt is the answer, playing the Caracas after the Tameo, the sequencing blows out that removal spell. And then if Tameo just gets countered, I can play my fetch land instead. Yeah, the cheeky post-Tameo Caracas. That's the type of spot where a lot of people lose points. Like, if you just are in the habit of playing your land first and you don't think about what your land might represent, then maybe my opponent had Force of Will in hand, but also Swords of Plowshares and was like, I'll just plow that. But now that line is off. Snap Brainstorm. Lots of creatures in this deck. A Tundra means that Brainstorm is not being shuffled, but opponent did find a land after missing one for a while. Okay, well, there must be 2 removal spells in hand then, if we're doing this. That's fine. 2 for 1s. We take them. Like, if he could have just bolted Tameo, then the plow would still be there for this Quantum Riddler in my hand, and I don't know that that's going to be the case. Flow State. Yeah, I'm going to be super annoying here and just cast this card instead of the Quantum Riddler. All right, yep, there it is. The clean answer to Quantum Riddler spent on Flow State instead. Is this worth a plow to me? I guess it is. Is my life total just slowly diminishing as I try to dance around this Quantum Riddler that, my opponent has played 1 land in the last 3 turns, has 4 cards in hand. Like, it's just so likely that there's an answer to Quantum Riddler in that hand. I'm going to ponder. Ooh, Felia and Flusterstorm. What do I do with all this? Like, I can't play Felia and protect it with Flusterstorm this turn. I could just put Flusterstorm in my hand. I need another land before I could Fluster to protect the Riddler, which would be a great sequence that I think I do want to build up towards. Okay, Fluster, Ponder, Felia, no shuffle. Caracas, going to work here again. Vendilion Click. Who's this going to target? This is actually important. Targeting yourself. Yep, okay. I thought you might. Spell Pierce put on the bottom. Digging up a new card. And Caracas, not a great answer to the card Vendilion Click. Brainstorm. Wasteland, that sucks. Alright, end step, I'll play Felia. Alright, well, I'll bounce V-Click then. Or whatever. Make you spend your mana. If you kill Felia, then V-Click's not coming down this turn. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Drawing Ponder. Ooh, the same cards again, pretty much. Okay, Flusterstorm, Flooded Strand, Felia. No shuffle. So this plays around the Vendilion Click because I can flash out the Felia. I don't really care about the Wrath of the Skies. And what I'm drawing next turn is a land, which can't be V-clicked away. Felia. So many lightning bolts. Those lightning bolts do represent 9 damage that was spent on my creatures instead of anything else, which is great because I'm at 10. All right, have I flushed out enough interaction yet, or am I still cooked? Sad. Very sad. All right. I got 2 more Riddlers in my deck. Let's find them. That's 5 single mana red cards that have interacted with me this game. Okay, do you care about Wrath of the Skies? Like, Wrath does kill Vendilion Click, but also there are way better cards I could have, like Quantum Riddler. Nope, just left me with the cards. Rip off the Wrath before I Surveil. I want to know if this is going to resolve or not. It did not. Tundra to the graveyard. All right, it's becoming dire. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand in my 0. Flow State's an insane draw. Riddler's an insane draw. Tundra's not an insane draw. I'll sandbag the Tundra in case opponent does anything clever with, like, bouncing or flickering their Vendilion Click. Cavern. Yikes. All right, deck, how about a good card? I hate you, deck. I hate you so much. All right, I'm now at 1 on board, which means the 4th Lightning Bolt kills me. Missing on removal kills me. A follow-up creature of any kind kills me. I can't fetch, I can't force. Big rips. And dead. I think all of the damage I took that game was from Vendilion Click. That was actually really sweet. I'm excited to be a special guest for the Excalibur Events Niagara Falls weekend, September 25th through 27th, 2026. This event features the pre-modern scaling 25K with $10,000 guaranteed and $5,000 added to the prize pool at 275, 350, and 450 players for a total of $25,000. Gold Border and Collector's Edition cards are legal in this tournament, and you can use up to 10 playtest cards to fill out your deck. Be sure to check the FAQ on the Excalibur website to follow their playtest card policy. This has a chance of being the biggest pre-modern event ever. Sign up now and use code BOSH for $5 off entry. I hope I'll see you there. I'm on the play in the final round with a full house. We got Rumbles full of trophies here. I will keep this. If Island Ponder Keep is a mantra I can live by, then 2 Forest Malevolent Rumble Keep? Sure. Just hope I don't get Cabal Therapied. Oh my god. Inquisition of Kozilek? Yeah, go ahead. Dig in. What the hell deck has Inquisition of Kozilek in it? I really hope my opponent's on a fair deck. That's where, like, Golgari or Golgarbage, affectionate nickname Golgarbage decks, really thrive. Like, this is just a Jund deck that's able to do some cool tricks. I mean Jund in the terms of play pattern, not literally Jund. Ooh, that's my man. There he is. Do I want to play that out now? I think I'd like to rumble and hide the goods a little bit, because this could turn over a Cabal Therapy, which didn't happen. Second Veteran Explorer. I think I'd rather just have the land, because this means I can rumble again next turn, potentially turn over Cabal Therapy, and then play the Explorer. Baleful Strix. That's a good news. Lazatep Quarry. Hell yeah. Okay, I'll play Veteran Explorer, see if it gets Force of Willed. It didn't. We're in the Quarry, baby. Alright, I will sacrifice a creature to add green. I'm just trying to cast a million Rumbles this turn. And we'll see how many basics he's got. Normally, if you have a swamp, you have a island. But is it going to be like 3 islands? Alright, enough. Enough that we're still gaming. Rumble. Grist the Hunger Tide, I'll take that one. And Rumble. Stay rumbling. I probably should have cast Grist there. Just forgot my tokens existed. Alpha Deathclaw, Orcish Bowmaster. It costs a lot of mana to play and activate that guy. I'm going to take just Bowmaster. Okay, I've now packed my hand with 2 high-impact threats. We'll see what opponent's cooking with. And in the spirit of the challenge, this can't just be Dimir Tempo. There's got to be some kind of twist, like something else going on here. Okay, there we go. That's a spicy meatball. Brainstorm while you still can. I have 3 answers to Jace in my hand, and my opponent knows about all of them. The Trophy just kills it. Grist just kills it. Orcish Bowmaster makes it a lot worse. Found a land. A discard spell makes it harder for me. Yep, one of these is gone. I imagine Grist is the scariest one for some grindy blue-black deck. Though I could see Bowmaster being a concern as well. Lazatep Quarry can become Bowmaster if they take it. Could also become Alpha Deathclaw. Wow, okay, so that's the card that I thought was the most safe among my options here. Interesting that that one was taken. Ooh, Zenith. That's the Icetill Explorer, if I want it. There's the second Deathclaw in there as well. All right, well, I'm going to cast Grist. That resolved. I'll cast Orcish Bowmaster. That also resolved. Now I'm a little worried. Was my hand just so rolled up you couldn't do anything? Okay, pass the turn. Am I going to get swept or comboed out somehow? Is this like a control build of Doomsday? Fatal Push the Bowmaster. Sure. Strix returns. Oh, or Grixis. Is this just James Casau pile? Okay. All right, that makes some sense. That now explains the barrage of one-ofs we've been subjected to, as well as the high basic count. Joe Garmaggio. Haven't seen him in a few years. Welcome back. Cool. All right, I've drawn another Assassin's Trophy. After my opponent discarded 2 of them. Cast 2 Inquisition of Kozilek's game, and they both took Assassin's Trophies. 2 cards left in hand. I think opponent would have forced Grist last turn if he had Force. I don't think that's a thing I have to worry about. What does Icetill Explorer do for me on this board? It hits a bunch of land drops, like basically forever. Okay, X equals 4. Icetill Explorer. There is a second Grist. I guess I could have gotten that. Icetill Explorer. Play Bayou from the graveyard. I have Esper Origins that I could mill over here. Nurturing Peatland. Let's come up with one of those. Esper Origins and Ghost Quarter are kind of the cards I'm looking for. And do you have a 4th basic land? Yes. All right, good to know. Attack with Orc Army. Brainstorm. Found a fetch land. 2 cards left. Another Jace. Holy moly. Brainstorming with Jace. Cling to Dust actually now becomes a terrifying card, and that is pretty stock for decks like this. As much as a stock list exists. Ooh, Deathclaw. It costs 11 to do all this at once. No, more than that. 13. It costs 13 to do all this at once. And I only have 11. Unlucky. Okay. Oh. I can Lazotep Quarry multiple times because of the Icetill Explorer. Okay. That's exciting. All right. I'm going to Quarry Bowmaster. And this will come back as a 4/4. If my opponent has Graveyard Hate for it, I could just play it again. I didn't even recognize this infinite loop until just now, actually. All right, I'll attack Jace. Yeah, had enough. Let's go. This is exactly the type of matchup you want when you're a deck like this one. Calling it out. Yeah, it's like so close that I'm barely even going to sideboard. Thoughtseize is good against any control deck. I'll take that. I think I want a second Endurance just to avoid decking myself, though the Lazotep Quarry Endurance self-mill loop, I can eventually Quarry Endurance myself. Graveyard Hate, pretty good against me. It's probably Pernicious Deed that gets trimmed. My opponent just doesn't seem to really have permanents that go into play. I can't kill Jace with Pernicious Deed. This was printed in an era where it specifically listed all the permanent types that it's supposed to destroy, but some permanent types didn't exist yet. They hadn't come up with the technology of non-land permanents yet. They named them all specifically. The same thing happens on Show and Tell, which is quite a bit older than Pernicious Deed. But you really feel it in the Planeswalker era of Magic when these old cards just miss it, and for no real reason. This could say non-land card, Show and Tell could say non-land card. Doesn't really change the card. Okay. I mean, it changes the card by making it slightly better, but it doesn't like change the flavor or the design or anything. Though maybe Pernicious Deed specifically, and Lore Drop here, Pernicious Deed specifically does depict bombs that were designed by Urza, meant to be detonated by Planeswalkers to fuck up Phyrexia. So maybe Pernicious Deed missing Planeswalkers was weirdly prescient about the future design of Magic through the lens of the contemporary lore in the early 2000s. Wow, we did it. We solved it. We solved world peace. Okay. I think this is all I'm doing. Sideboarding's so easy, I had time to just describe the storyline of Apocalypse. Okay, this is turn 1 therapy, turn 2 Zenith for Bro, sack him to therapy. Veteran Explorer. All right. I'm not going to fetch a basic land because I'm going to end up with a bunch of those anyway. Cabal Therapy, And I think I named Force of Will. A Force of Will. Got 2 of them from the top rope. Holy moly. Devastation. Fatality. Bitter Blossom's an interesting card to have. I did just pour it out. Oh my god, he's just conceding. All right. Yeah, I mean, if you missed that land drop, I understand not wanting to play the game too. All right, let's go debrief with Andreas. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
All right, guys, welcome to the debrief of the basement battle. As I talked about on my end, I was bringing some blasts from the past. My good friend Thomas's GP Strasbourg deck list. I brought my own list from that tournament that I top 16 with the Icetill, and then a little Grixis control from post-Death Ride band to the party. What did you bring, Brian?
Okay, so let's not move on from that real quick, because when you were playing your round 1 deck, I literally said, these are cards from 2012. This looks like a non-updated deck from 2012. That was literally just a deck from
the GP winning list from 2013. My friend Death and Taxes legend Thomas Enevolson took it down with, surviving a couple of Embercool swings, playing a 75 card mirror in the semis against his best friend Michael Bonde. So yeah, that deck is very special to me. We were rooming on that trip, and it was my first international tournament actually. So very important tournament for me, and I was happy to make Thomas proud with some Mirror Crusader godlike pairing here.
Yeah, I was I'm glad I got to pin that, like calling out the 2012 technology.
When you see the Fiend Hunter, you're gonna be suspicious about what's going on.
That was weird, but it was like the 2 Jittes and the Mirror Crusader. I was like, this is from a different time. But yeah, you queued that one into my Golgari aggro deck, the Moonshadow Hogaak deck that's been creeping up on the fringes lately.
Absolutely.
I had a Patreon sub send me in 2 versions of Golgari right when Strixhaven came out, trying to make Witherbloom Charm do some cool things. And one of them was kind of a proto version of that. It wasn't quite there. It was still trying to be kind of a Pox control deck, but also kind of an aggressive Moonshadow deck. And just parallel somewhere else, other people were working on this build, which is actually really good at doing what it does. And I was excited to play this one.
A German player, Ella1, is tearing it up even in the premier events, like top 8ing or top 4ing the showcase, million trophies. That deck is super dangerous to play against. I even think if you have a second Talongate in your deck, you're probably cooking me in that game where Mirror Crusader is doing its thing. That was all I can hope for that you didn't.
Funny story.
Go ahead.
The second Talongates was in the sideboard, and when I was sideboarding, I was looking at Bojuka Bog and saying, like, I could just turn this into the second Talongates because he's a creature matchup, but not knowing you were playing literally a deck from 13 years ago with none of these cards in it. I was saying like pre-war formal wear and I named a couple cards that normally Maverick, like Knight of the Reliquary. Was Knight of the Reliquary in your list?
I was just playing Death and Taxes.
Okay, so the Horizon Canopy was just to draw a card sometimes.
Exactly, that's just a one Horizon. So, but you guess you didn't see Vile until pretty late, but I did play it at some point.
Right, yeah. So game 1, you led on the Horizon Canopy, and that just plugged like green-white in my head. And I also not knowing that you pulled a list from just the past.
Of course.
I thought that this was some updated Maverick, Dukes on Twitch special that you were playing with modern technology in it. So I called out Knight of the Reliquary, I called out pre-war formal wear. I was like, I think this Bojuka Bog might have enough. And then if it was the second Talongates, I actually do get to successfully tempo you out there.
Yeah, then I think that if you have another, you did have the Bowmaster, right? Yeah, so you have a random body you don't care about, and
Yep.
then you can get there with the Moonshadow and the 2/2. Yes, absolutely. I didn't have anything else but a Mirror Crusader, a Jite, and a Dream there, and that was that was cool. That was
Right.
cool. I enjoyed it. But hey, the tables turned a little bit. The information game now. Look who's on top, and you are the one over there scrambling. It's usually me who's trying to connect the dots, and
Right.
so I was excited about that one. I sent the screenshot to Thomas immediately between the matches.
Yeah, and I mean that even though it beat me to death, like I mean, right here on the wall behind me, that Brian Koval monk token from winning the Star City Invitational, Mirren Crusader ripping up Grixis Death Shadow was what I did for that whole tournament. The stock list could not answer that card, and
Wow.
in the top 4 of that tournament against Grixis Death Shadow, I just had a turn 3 Mirror Crusader, and my opponent conceded with 7 cards in hand. It was just, I
Yeah.
know when you get the pairing, you are in there.
Absolutely. And speaking of 3 drops that are hard to deal with, match 2, I was bringing my Geist Still deck. Have you ever seen it? Like randomly from, the past or whatever? I might have talked about it at some point.
So I was aware of Geist of Saint Traft being played as a finisher in like mid-range control decks of the era. I was there for Innistrad release and everything,
Yeah.
so I've seen the card around. Uh,
Yeah.
I I did not put all the pieces together until it was way too late game one. That one, I pitched Quantum Riddler to counter your Standstill, keeping
Yes.
Narset in my hand, figuring that card would be better in the matchup. But then you just beat me to death with a 2/2, where a 4/6 would have been much better in the matchup. So
Oh yeah.
that was that was a surprise. And coming off the Cavern as well, I think I had Force Riddler in my hand when you went for it. So it
Nice.
just did
That's
everything it
good.
needed to do. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're giving me all the bonus points now. I love it. I remember when I played the tournament, I played against Raphael Levy on Miracles, and he conceded with 7 cards in hand to just a Geist through a Cavern. He had like 2 counterspells, 2 forces, a couple of red blasts, and it was just like couldn't be handled. So at the time, it was cute but viable. I would say that, right? It's not like some impossible to beat, but creatures were just so rare back then that the 2/2 now it's pretty trivial between Phalia and Bowmasters and whatever. But back then it was a house in these blue matchups, and I guess I got to showcase a little bit of that in this match. Some cool counterplay, by the way. I highlighted some cool plays where you play your Tameo, then you play Caracas, and that changes the whole evaluation. Because I had a Pyroblast, but now I ended up having to use 2 removal spells on it. So I was over here like, okay, Brand's the best ever. If he reverse sequences that, I can make him look like a fool. Now it's vice versa. You also made another cool play where you basically were hiding your plan with something on the stack. I can't remember now, but I highlighted a couple of those. So I just wanted to give you a shout out for technical awesome play as always.
Yeah, I talked about the Caracas sequencing on my side as well. That was a spot where I think a lot of players get 1 for 1, but I got 2 cards out of you. So that was a
Absolutely.
nice one. And another conversation I got to have in that match is I was playing Standstill way longer than anyone should have. Like the early days of this channel, like right before the COVID lockdowns and stuff, Ikoria had just come out, Shark Typhoon, Hall of
Oh
Heliod,
yeah.
Standstill. Like that's foundational to the BoshNRoll brand, the whole YouTube channel. And I took that to a bunch of in-person events. When the COVID lockdown lifted, I have a Star City top 8 with Jeskai, Shark Still, and then
Awesome.
what got me off the deck that realized that I just couldn't do this anymore is I would play Standstill, and then my opponent would just cast Expressive Iteration into it. And we would
Yeah.
get the same 3 cards, but they didn't have to
Yeah.
work for them at all. And then I got to cast Flow State into your Standstill, and I'm like, this is fine. This is completely
Yeah.
fine, actually.
That was like an exchange that I considered slightly favorable to me, except what you're talking about, that I built
Right.
my whole deck to set this up, right? And
Yep.
you just paid 2 mana for a card. So
Exactly.
the juice is not worth the squeeze at all, but small victories. And we're also here to entertain and highlight some cool stuff about Magic. So I took it as a bigger win than it actually was strategically. It was just a small one, I would argue. So that was pretty cool. How did I get over the finish line? I think I got to pierce some late game Wrath of the Skies and you bricked for a few turns or something.
Yeah, we were both jockeying around my warped Quantum Riddler for the entire game, and I had been setting up, like, I would ponder and I'd see like Felia plus Flusterstorm. And I was like, okay, I'll distract him with the Felia. and I also
Yes.
had the Caracas, and then like I pondered again, found a second Felia, and then the Flusterstorm, the same Flusterstorm is still floating on top of the deck.
Yeah.
And then when I go for the second Felia, you have Wasteland for the Caracas, which now not only makes my Felia just some idiot that dies to whatever, but also the Flusterstorm I've been floating. It was like
Right.
Felia, Flusterstorm, Flooded Strand was the top of my deck for 2 turns in a row. And I was
Yes.
just trying to distract you with the Felias until I got to 6 mana to protect my Riddler with
Yes.
Flusterstorm. But the Wasteland blew
Yep.
up both of the plans at the same time.
Yeah, that was incredible for me because then you still need the land, but now you're getting blasted, and you acknowledge that card 4 turns prior, but you're still quote unquote losing to it, or that exchange is still going to happen. So yeah, that was awesome for me on multiple accounts. That exchange, no doubt about that. Last up, we had a sweet one. I was playing a Grixis deck. When did Deathrite get banned? Because this deck is like from straight after that. 16?
Yeah, I want to say, I think it was later than that, like 2018, I think. Because my first Eternal
Okay.
Weekend top 8 was with Grixis Delver with Deathrite Shaman, and I think that was 2017.
Okay. When was Pro Tour 25th anniversary? That must have been 2018 as well. I'm pretty sure we played that.
The math checks
deck.
out. Yeah, 1993 plus 25 would be 2018.
Yes. No, man, no. We played Death and Taxes there on my team, so maybe it was already banned because we qualified with Deathrite. So maybe it was in 2018. Okay, so my deck was actually newer. I was over there. 2015, but yeah, it was maybe 2019. My deck. Who knows?
Right.
But that was still pretty cool. But yeah, Gurmag Angler's not quite Murktide Regent, and Grixis into your pairing. That was ideal for you. You were licking your chops when you saw I was playing, black-based stuff instead of white stuff, I would imagine.
Yeah, any fair deck that
That's fair.
my third deck just came out of the recent trophy dumps from MTGO. It's just
Yeah.
a grindy black Icetill Explorer deck. Like we got to see some of the Icetill stuff where I can just Lazotep quarry every creature out of my
Ooh,
graveyard. Like you could see it when that loop came together, but there's also
absolutely.
2 Ghost Quarters in the deck on top of the 4 Assassin's Trophies and the 4 Veteran Explorers. Like I'll run you out of lands at some point.
Yeah.
There's an Endurance
Yeah.
in the main deck, so even if I mill it over, I can quarry it and get a second loop through my deck. Like that deck is very cool if you give it time to set up.
Ooh, that's a lot of grind. When
Right.
you cast that Cabal Therapy in the second game, the thing is, I had to let resolve quickly here. I only had one plan, and that was to. First of all, I didn't want to mulligan to 5. I was on a. You saw the gamble 6, right? Bitter Blossom,
Yep.
another blast from the past. Could be okay here, and I just need to draw the land. But man, when that card hit the stack, I knew it was over because bread and butter play is to clear the forces so your Veteran Explorer resolves, and then you go from there, right? That's like a bread and butter play. Yeah, but I didn't have it in me to force it. Would you have forced it?
I mean, you lose 2 cards either way, and you're gonna lose the other 2 when you force my Veteran Explorer on the next turn. So
That is better, though. That is better. Better than this, I think.
and
Because JCMS and Baleful Shrieks are not going to make a difference. I was just all in on that Bitter Blossom, I think.
yeah, I mean that's close because if you think my follow-up play is Veteran Explorer, I'm giving you 2
Yeah.
lands to play the game with. And like I take your Jace, but then you have like Strix plus Bitter Blossom to get moving. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
I mean, I still have
Okay.
a handful of cards and you don't, but you're behind. But I don't think it's
Yeah.
not like Cabal Therapy you and then I Storm out and Tendrils you. It's a totally different experience after like
Yeah.
what I actually do
Yeah.
with the
Okay.
clear hand.
Yeah. I didn't have enough experience in the matchup, but that was an argument to play it out. It didn't have it in me there, but I should have let you at least have some time to shine there.
Yeah, there was a game just came to my mind from Pro Tour champion Steve Rubin, who is local to me, from this era of Legacy that your deck was from, where his opponent flashbacked Cabal Therapy, sacrificing Veteran Explorer. Off the 2 islands Steve tutored for, he counterspelled the Cabal Therapy, and then he untapped and played Jace on turn 2. And he was like, why does anyone play this Nick Fit deck? I don't get it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which is
Jace
almost
actually
what the experience we just had.
Oh yeah, no, I like Jace how it lined up against your deck in general, but then again, there's Grist, there's a million trophies. You have just Bowmaster as annoying interference, but yeah, game one was, there was some chance that Jace could take over the game if I had a slightly better brainstorm. I think maybe I need to hit a force or something on the turn where I Inquisition your trophy, and then you play the Grist. That was actually a cool decision where they kind of do the same thing. They handle Jace. One comes with a bonus, but one also makes you sacrifice a creature. And at that point, I thought I was trying to keep you off whatever mana for the reanimation stunt. So it was like, this is okay. And then I bolted. But I guess that was kind of a cool decision where its Grist was seemingly better, but I kind of wanted you to sacrifice a creature.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that might have been tougher if I didn't just have all those spawns laying around from the triple rumble start that game. Like I had a bunch of guys that I didn't care that much about.
Yeah, but I felt the same about the bolt in my hand. So that was kind of the deal, that maybe that mana makes a difference, but it was a cool decision nonetheless. My deck also had all-stars like Liliana of the Last Hope. Do you remember that card? Like to try and get
unbeatable.
A leg up. Yep. Yeah, unbeatable, right? Doesn't die to anything back then, and then kill some Strixes and Snapcasters. And
I played combo elves during this era as well.
Sure.
And Liliana the Last Hope kills every card in your deck and then kills you. that one was no good for me.
Yeah, she was a good crossover card for a tough matchup in elves, and then also good against control or more grindy decks. Where obviously Toxic Deluge is better against elves, but this is a main deckable card, and yeah, this is another era with a lot of grind, Cake Command, Snapcaster, stuff like that.
Yeah, and in that last game we played, that Cabal Therapy, I almost tricked myself because, again, not knowing that you're on an old list, like I thought you'd be playing like a James Casau inspired, like Grixis toolbox list, and I was really worried about Cling to Dust blowing up my my therapy line. So there was like a split second in my head where I was like, should I name Cling to Dust? Because you just have a mana up. Like if I miss on Cabal Therapy, you exile it, you draw a card, now you're off.
Pretty well.
Yeah, but I'm glad I just stuck to the bread and butter.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. That would have been bad one to have regrets on. I like it a lot. That was that played out just like it should. But this was pretty awesome. I took the chance to go down memory lane. I like to do that sometimes. Just remember where I came from. Used to play honest Gurmag Anglers, and now we get to have 8/8s for the same mana.
Yep. Yeah, and in a better color. It's
a better color and flying, and a lot of good stuff. But Mirran Crusader lining up against your black-green deck, that was the dream, right?
Yeah, and that showcased a thing where it's like the rules of engagement, right? Like Legacy is more powerful now than it was in the era you pulled decks from, I think, just objectively. And we have got 3 Modern Horizon sets plus another 10 years of other sets that have come out, and the cards are better, decks are stronger, but if you're expecting your opponent to be at that level, fighting over Tamios and stuff, and then you just slap down a Mirran Enforcer, I might have no out to that. And I think about one time I was at a local game store, and someone was like, you want to play a game? And I was like, I only have Legacy. And they're like, oh, I have Legacy. I was like, great. And I had Rug Delver. This was like 2012 era Rug Delver. And my opponent was just mono black magic cards, only swamps for mana. My wastelands were blank.
Not cracking fetches either.
Yeah, not cracking fetch lands. My stifles were blank. Dark Ritualed out a Phyrexian Obliterator, like around days, just by accident. He just like drew Dark Ritual on turn 3 when he had 3 swamps. It resolved. My deck only has Lightning Bolt and Tarmogoyf that could tangle with this thing. Like I'm dead. Like my deck is better than yours, but also you're on a different rules of engagement that happen to line up perfectly against what I'm doing, even though you're just goofing.
That's a perfect example. I remember playing like these tempo decks, like Nimble Mongoose, Werebear style decks, and then having a bad matchup against Tradebinder decks at the LGS for sure, and then hoping to parry in into whatever top 5 decks from the SCG circuit and whatever. Teamer Delver is a good example of exactly that, where you're hoping to play against actual tuned legacy decks from the top of the metagame, and then there's sometimes an Uno reverse and you find yourself against Mirran Crusader and Geist of Saint Traft.
Yeah, my slick forked bolt technology for the week, not lining up against Phyrexian Obliterator, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's not going to be a good one.
Can't spell snare that one.
But Brian, this was a huge pleasure as always. I can't wait for the next time. I guess I'm done speaking. You can get ourselves out of here.
All right. This was fun. Losing feels better when it's some silly shit from the past. And it got me fair and square with 3 drops I can't answer, which was the theme. Before True Name Nemesis, by the way. This was the proto True Name Nemesis, Mirror Crusader, and Geist to Say draft. Cool stuff.
Yep.
All right, well, thanks for doing this. If you're watching on my side, go watch the other side. If you're watching on that side, come watch my side. And we'll see you next month.